On the line is Odyssey NFL insider Ross Tucker. Insider Calls brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Ross Tucker now joining us on the fan hotline. I didn't have my best voice today. It's a little banged up because of the weather. I'm sorry I didn't deliver on the side part of the tagline there, buddy boy.
Yeah, that's okay. Just why are you yelling? What are you yelling in the background while Meredith is trying to do her job?
John Kensey Noel got DFA'd, friend. It's a bad day in Cleveland sports.
Ross, historically not a baseball guy.
No. Who got DFA'd?
Big Christmas, John Kensey Noel.
His name is John Kensey Noel. He's not actually even that massive of a human. He's called Big Christmas, but he's only 6'3", 230. But everyone in the Guardians is really tiny.
That is Jonathan trying to explain away that Jonathan's about 6'2", 230.
I'm 6'2", 230, and Nick calls me basically small all the time. John Kensey's 6'3", 230, and his nickname is Big Christmas.
He's 230 in his bra, Ross. This is a donkey of a human being. Not JP, John Kensey.
I don't understand. I didn't know you could get DFA'd in December. I thought that was like a spring training thing or during the season.
No.
Any time, really. Yeah.
You're never really safe from a good DFA in baseball.
All right,
Ross.
Maybe he should start. All right, good talking with you guys.
Maybe he should start. John Kensey start in 2026.
Which way are you leaning? If you were here in town making the decisions, which way are you leaning with the Browns quarterback spot in 2026? Keeping Shedeur as the starter or drafting a quarterback with your first round pick?
What? I hate when you guys do polls that are only two options.
Because we make you choose, is that the problem?
Well, I think there's a little bit of nuance to it. Do you have the number one pick? What pick do you have in the draft?
Just answer the question, Tucker.
Does Dante Moore enter the draft? And then if you can't get Mendoza or Dante Moore, then I think you probably go with Shedeur and have some other baseline veteran option, I think, is how I would describe it.
Okay, but that does make it sound like you would then take Moore or Mendoza. If they have the opportunity to, you would take either one of them and you would make that your quarterback selection to move forward.
You know what? I haven't studied Moore enough, but I'm pretty impressed by both those guys. I really am. I think I'd have to strongly consider it. I do think these last three games matter quite a bit for Shedeur in that regard. Quite a bit. Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. How you finish matters. And I don't want to say this is worst case scenario for the Browns, but I'm guessing, and I'm curious to hear where you guys are at. I'm guessing most people, well, maybe not, since 86%, I guess, say they want Shedeur. Were you guys that impressed by what he did in Chicago?
No, Chicago was a disaster of a game, but I think a lot of people put that in the proper context of really the situation at hand. I honestly, the result out of Chicago felt more like people had the understanding that it was just you have only Joe Bitonio is the only starter from the offensive line from week one. You have the worst pass-catching core in the entire NFL, and it just kind of felt like you ran out of options. But admittedly, no one's come to the defense of Shedeur in that game. He was not good.
I'll tell you what was good, though. It's kind of nice to see the Browns throwing these deep posts to Isaiah Bond. It's nice to have a deep threat. It's nice, and that's another one, by the way, for your guy Andrew Berry, that they kept tabs on him. That was a nice signing. Well, to get Isaiah Bond for 0 draft picks and just stay on him when you knew that the off-the-field situation would resolve itself. I mean, he looks like a real guy to me.
So
I'm not the number one receiver, but
Ross, you're right. You're right.
Him than Jerry Jeudy.
He looked good, so that's the other part of that, and so that's I think one of the takeaways from the game was it wasn't talking about Isaiah Bond and the 2 catches. It was more Jerry Jeudy had that big drop in the end zone that turned into an interception because it hit him in the chest and it fell down, and that's highlighted by Andrew Berry giving him a bunch of money while never playing in a Browns uniform, and then the idea that once again he ignored the offensive line and the problems that were going to persist on the offensive line, and so Like I thought it was a bad Andrew Berry day at the end of it, as far as people going from 100% safe the week prior to then today. It just kind of highlighted a lot of the mistakes that it seems like he's had in his time here.
Yeah, I think, a couple things. One is, I don't know that I would look at it, and I don't know that people thought that what happened in the offensive line would happen as quickly as it did in terms of injuries, age, and drop in performance. It just seems like almost all those positions, other than left guard, have been a revolving door, and that's hard for anyone, I think. I do think the draft class is fantastic. I do think Bond is highly encouraging. The Jerry Jeudy thing, I understand why he did it, but that has not worked out. That has not worked out as well as they were hoping for a bunch of different reasons. The fascinating part about the Shedeur conversation is that there aren't really going to be that many other good quarterback options. Let's say Dante Moore does turn pro, which he probably should, because there's a bunch of teams that need a quarterback and would probably take him in the top 5. So, but let's say, there's a couple different arguments. The one conversation is if they can get Mendoza or Moore, I think they probably do that as opposed to Shedeur. But I think there's a very real scenario, and I think, by the way, Jonathan, you can have the argument about whether you should do that or not. But other than those guys, what are your other options? All these guys are staying in school. All these guys are going back to school. And so it does feel like on some level, a year to really find out what you have in Shedeur if you haven't made that decision by the end of these next 3 games. I think they probably want to get somebody else in there just in case it really goes badly with Shedeur. But there's other teams that are sort of in that same wavelength. Like I'm doing Jets and the Saints on Sunday for CBS. Now, Tyler Shuck has done some really good things the last couple games. Some really good things. But the point is he's in a position where I don't know that the Saints are sure he's their guy for years, but it seems like they're sure he's their guy for next year because they've won 2 games. They now have 4 wins. They're not going to have a top 5 pick. He's playing well. It makes all the sense in the world to see what Tyler Shuck can do next year. And then if he does, great, awesome. If he doesn't, there will be a bunch more quarterbacks supposedly next year. And the question is whether or not Shedeur can do enough over the next 3 games so that he goes into the Tyler Shuck category of, okay, he's earned at least next year.
Ross, looking at the big decision to be made at the end of this season, before we even get to quarterback, a lot of varying reports out there. Maybe Kevin Stefanski would see a different job in a better light, or maybe Kevin Stefanski actually wants to be back. Are Stefanski and Berry a package deal with 3 weeks to go? And on a 3-win team, 6 wins in 2 years, should Jimmy Haslam and the Browns have made up their decision already on Stefanski and Berry and their fate for 2026 and beyond?
No, he shouldn't have, because why would you? In life, more information is good. The more information, the more data you can have before making a big decision, the better. Let's see how these last 3 games play out. I would guess that it's probably trending towards Berry stays and Stefanski's gone, because I just don't think you can have some of these performances that they've had down the stretch and feel necessarily good about the coaching job that Stefanski's done. And you guys know I think he's a good coach, and I think there's a pretty better than decent chance that if the Browns fire him, he'll get hired again right away. I definitely think he'll get interviews again right away. There are certain organizations that it's almost like they give you a pass if you're getting fired by them. It's like the Jets, the Raiders, unfortunately the Browns. There's certain franchises where if that's the team that it doesn't work out with, it's almost like it doesn't count that much on your resume. And I think Stefanski will get other interviews for sure and maybe get another job right away. Maybe not. Maybe he'll pull a Vrabel for a year and then get a job the year after. But I would guess there hasn't been enough growth, enough improvement. The performance has been bad enough that I would think that Haslam would be leaning Stefanski out and keep Barry, in large part because the trade with the Jags looks really good right now, and the rookie class looks really good right now. And I'm not sure I would want to mess with that with these draft picks coming up. I'd probably want Andrew to be making those picks again.
Browns taking on the Bills this weekend, Ross. And I remember a couple years ago you famously had the anti-Josh Allen rant, and the idea was baked around him never being in an AFC title game at that point. Obviously, he's gone on to have extended postseasons, but never appearing in a Super Bowl. Is this the year, with Mahomes out, with Lamar potentially being out, with Burrow definitely being out, is this the year that Josh Allen's able to achieve everything we've thought he could achieve for a while?
Well, first of all, what you're talking about would definitely have been a Sean McDermott conversation. And the Sean McDermott part of it was, why is Joe Burrow getting to a Super Bowl? Why are all these other guys getting all these AFC Championship games in Super Bowl? But McDermott hasn't been able to, at that point, had only been able to get Josh Allen, to one AFC Championship game. I thought that was more of a knock on McDermott than it was on Josh Allen. I think the Bills, this is just a golden opportunity that they have on some level already blown, in the sense that, it's still going to be an uphill battle for them to have the number one seed. If they had the number one seed, man, they would be in a really, really good position. I think they're probably, have a really good chance still, and this could be the year, but 3 road playoff games is hard. I mean, that's going to be their path more than likely. 3 road playoff games. It's been done, but not very often.
Does McDermott get fired if they don't?
It doesn't. The Bills don't seem like that type of organization. I think Pegula, I know he's from PA. Maybe he's from Western PA. I think that he admires the Steelers and the consistency. But if they're like one and done in the playoffs, I think that's very much a possibility. Because at some point they have to say, when's it going to be us? Well, I don't know. Maybe he looks at it the other way. Maybe he looks at it and says, you know what? At least we're still going to playoffs. At least we're still in the mix, whereas the Chiefs didn't even make the playoffs this year. I would lean probably in that situation to, we really, really got to try something else and try to take a different approach to this to try to get over the hump. We've tried these guys for long enough, and they just haven't been able to do it.
Ross, should Joe Burrow force his way out of Cincinnati?
By the way, did you guys see that evidently the Bengals gave Zach Taylor like a secret contract extension at some point?
I did see that wild move from them.
2 years, yeah.
What the heck? That seems like the least Bengals move ever. I'm so confused by that. Why they, of all teams, would give Zach Taylor these extra years when they didn't need to. That's actually the thing I don't understand maybe the most in the NFL, is when these teams feel like they have to extend coaches for another year or another year. Where are they going? It's like, when's the last time a coach, his contract expired, he was a coaching free agent, and he went to another team? That's not a thing. That doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. It's crazy to me. Oh, my gosh, we can't have him be a lame duck. Why not? Quarterbacks players are lame ducks all the time. Let's let him be a free agent. Let's see how it works. And we can always extend him. I don't know. I think what these guys do sometimes with these coaching contracts, and in college football too, like the guy needs 9 years. I mean, maybe that's a little bit different because college coaches actually do just jet all the time to go somewhere else. I think, Nick, the answer to your question depends a little bit on whether or not Zach Taylor is still there. I think if they move on from Zach Taylor, Burrow could see who they hire. If actually, now that they just paid Chase and Higgins, I'm not sure you do want to go somewhere else. I don't know. That's a tough one. It's like I'm doing the Jets game this weekend, and Jets fans are like, "You got to make the call. You got to make the call to Burrow. You got to make the call to the Bengals." And it's like, wait, Joe Burrow is not happy in Cincinnati, so you think he wants to go to the Jets? Like I mean, where their top receiver right now is Adonai Mitchell. I mean, I guess Garrett Wilson's hurt, but I don't know. That's a fascinating scenario.
Ross, great stuff as always, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Later, dude.
Later, dudes. That was Ross Tucker, Odyssey NFL Insider. I just wanted to go full Shatner there. Insider Calls brought to you by Nationwide for your insurance and financial needs. Nationwide is on your side.